Greetings. Welcome to this session that is a primer on the PQ gym and the PQ brain. And we will look at some examples of where you can get in some PQ reps in your day. What are PQ reps? I would like to share my screen. My name is Anissa Wilhelmstetter. I'm a creativity and creative change coach, and I am your practice partner for today. PQ gym. Let's get some reps in. What is a PQ gym? In a book, the Positive Intelligence book, so Positive Intelligence by Shirzad Chamine, this is what he writes. Saboteurs and sage are controlled by two different areas of your brain. The saboteurs are fueled by the parts of your brain that were initially focused on your physical and emotional survival, what we call your survivor brain. And the sage, on the other hand, is fueled by the areas of the brain we call your PQ brain. You might have heard of the term the yes brain. I like to call it the yes brain. And the sage means that we're connected to our inner wisdom. It's a more embodied awareness, and we present, mindful in the moment rather than operating from conditioning, from unconscious programs. Keep repeating the same thoughts, behavior, etc., that we learned as a survival mechanism and that no longer serves us. So you can check the book if you want details on the different brain areas that light up when they do the scans to show that you acting reflexively, or so that means the saboteur is in charge of your ship, going for that iceberg, or like wild horses running your chariot off the cliff. And the brain shows what they call the PQ brain, I call the yes brain, where you present aware of your freedom and have freedom of choice. So activating your PQ brain increases the volume of the sage's voice, that still, silent, slow, small voice, whatever you want to call it, in your head or in your experience or awareness. And it decreases the volume of the saboteurs. The judge, that means our head honcho when it comes to survival mechanisms, that chief saboteur, rules the survivor brain. Its very existence is due to the survivor brain. The judge's extreme negative bias was helpful to the physical survival of our ancestors in a dangerous and unpredictable world of predators, enemies, and natural disasters. As we have seen, the judge triggers and is in return further triggered by the accomplice saboteurs. Thus, the survivor brain fuels all the saboteurs, and in return, those saboteurs keep fueling the survivor brain. This is a vicious cycle that feeds on itself until you learn to quiet your survivor brain and activate its antidote, the PQ brain, the yes brain. Saboteurs will eventually perpetuate the problem and therefore feed the judge distress energy, which starts the whole thing, the problem. So a problem is created by we in this moment, we reactive, all these old thoughts, old emotions, the ways of being or not being with it, old patterns. So we learn from the past that might have worked sometimes. We're bringing it into the present, treating this moment like it's in the past. with these old, inappropriate programs. And so we create a problem. We even see the situation as an obstacle, dangerous problem. And so that part of the brain that labels this as such and treats it as win-lose situation perpetuates the problem. The sage approach, of course, would be to embrace the whole event, whatever the event is, even conflict, as a gift and opportunity. And you can see that starts a very different cycle. Instead of this downward spiral where you think certain thoughts, it feeds certain emotions and feelings, and then you resist that, and it perpetuates it, and it feeds more of the same thoughts, now more exaggerated, which then feeds, so this feedback loop that becomes a downward spiral of negativity. The sage offers an antidote, the opposite, and that's the yes brain, the gift, not the grievance, the opportunity, not an obstacle. And so you see, it starts what we call a virtuous cycle, involving the yes brain rather than the survivor brain. So the PQ brain or yes brain is the part of the brain that gives the sage its perspective and its five powers. I love this quote by John Milton. The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. So things can be going great, but we bring our own perspective, our own judgment, our own negativity bias. And whatever it is, regardless of how awesome it is, our experience is a whole other world, whole other reality. And then you can have a nasty situation. But when you bring this attitude, and we're always free to choose our attitude, when you bring what we now call an anti-fragile attitude, so what I'm going to make of it is this. I'm free to think this even though it's like that. So I will say yes in spite of everything. And so that hell becomes a heaven. Basically, nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And your thinking creates your experience. So the thinking that is typical of the saboteur and the judge, the thinking that's typical of a sage. Who do you want to be in this choice point? The sage or the saboteur? So how you feel depends on which region of your brain is active. So rather than on your situation or the circumstance. Happiness is an inside game we are learning, literally and neurochemically. So to develop your biceps, you could lift a dumbbell repeatedly. I've got some dumbbells. Yeah, let's take a baby one, just so it stays in the memory. The PQ brain equivalent of lifting a dumbbell is very simple. Shift as much of your attention as you can to your body and any of your five senses for at least, the number is 10 seconds. This is a PQ rep, just like the reps you do at the gym. So, you can say it's 10 seconds. I don't know. You can decide, okay, you're going to say it's 17 seconds. It's up to you. So these simple reps now require and therefore activate and energize your yes brain muscles. For example, commanding yourself or inviting yourself or nudging yourself that instead of being lost in thought, you become aware of your physical sensations. And when you make this choice, using your freedom of choice, you decide, okay, I'm not going to let that thought hook me. I'm not going to resist that thought. I'm going to notice that it's there and let it go. I'm going to notice that when I think that thought, how do I feel in my body? And then focus on that feeling again without clinging to it or calling it bad or feeling that you're a bad person because you're having that feeling. So just this simple shift takes you into your yes brain. So awareness, mindfulness, awareness, embodied awareness. Numerous studies have definitely linked focused attention, so the key word is focus, and presence on present physical sensations as what activates these PQ brain regions. So these studies have also shown that such exercise permanently rewires the brain. So when we decide to sit here and make use of our freedom of choice and be present, and we ask ourselves, what am I thinking? And we notice a thought, we notice the judge, we label the judge. All of that is liberating and rewiring the brain permanently. Those are reps. And it's forming new neural pathways that remain active even when we are no longer focusing on the exercise. So I rewire it, and this rewiring repeatedly means that at some point it starts becoming more and more of who I am. So if I sit and practice now, when I then move on to the next thing and communication, I take that perspective with me. But the rewiring also becomes a permanent thing and also makes it easier for the next time to make the wise choice. So this is similar to how your muscles remain strong long after you leave the gym. So many experts recommend taking at least 10,000 steps every day in order to remain physically healthy. This equates to walking approximately 5 miles. The PQ brain equivalent is doing 100 PQ reps every day. In other words, shift as much of your attention as you can onto your body and any of your 5 senses for at least 10 seconds, 100 times a day. So 10 seconds is 1 rep. So you will do that 100 times. So we're talking seconds here, not minutes. You don't need to worry about being exact with the time, right? 10 seconds on average is about 3 breaths. So let's do 3 breaths now to give you a taste of that. So that was about 10 seconds. You can't strengthen your PQ brain through thinking, reading, or discussing concepts. So while we're reading now, we're not exactly strengthening our PQ brain. Well, if we were in a conversation about this concept, but what do you think about this PQ brain thing? And, I heard whatever. It's the actual experiencing. If while I am talking or thinking or reading, I'm imagining and I aware of the thought I'm thinking, or I notice that I'm judging and I self-correct, that is when we shift into the PQ reps. So you need to do the reps. That's the point. So here are other examples of how you can turn. Let's look at examples, how you can turn common activities into opportunities to do PQ reps. So think of your day. You might want to have your journal and a pen. For a moment now, this is just a primer. And you can do this exercise, return to the slide or take a screenshot and work your way through this. For each of these, in your daily routines, you brush your teeth, you go to the toilet, you prepare food, You do your groceries, you stand in line, you turn on your computer, you take a moment before you take a bath, a shower. You can do PQ reps. Physical exercise and playing sport. When you engage in walking, running, jumping jacks, you can pay attention to your breathing, to your thoughts. So it's not about thinking, but it's noticing the thinking. Noticing if you're judging the thinking. Notice your experience. Notice if muscles, when you're tensing, when you're releasing. Notice and count your breaths. When eating. So in the exercise also you can add like walking meditation, right? Eating, we mean eating mindfully. So when you sit to eat, you can take a breath and you can arrive. You can focus on the taste, the texture. You can feel the food in your hand. When you bite a strawberry, and you can listen to the sounds of your breathing, of your chewing. And those are all reps. At the end of the meal, you can decide to sit for a moment and take 3 breaths before you get up. Listening to music can be an experience where you do PQ reps. Breathe and you feel the experience, you might rock to it. And being with the loved ones, to really be present with someone, you look in their eyes, you smile, you acknowledge, and you can learn other techniques on how to be more fully present with somebody, how to deepen your listening. And I love the statement that's emphasized 1 minute of being fully present with a loved one has a deeper and more lasting impact on your relationship than spending a whole day together. So it's that quality and not quantity. So spending a day together with someone when you have a scattered mind does not benefit. So in a typical 15-minute session during which you might drift away in mind chatter for half the time, so 15 minutes, let's say 7.5 minutes of that, your mind wanders and you're judging or chattering, there's noise, right? You nevertheless, in that 7.5 minutes that you glean from this 15-minute session, you could reach a count of 45 successful reps. So they do the math, 900 seconds divided by 10 seconds per rep divided by 2. And that's how they got to 45. So if you find yourself falling short of your goal of 100, so we want 100 reps a day. That's like the 5 miles, right? Was it 3 miles? The 10,000 steps. So if you're falling short of 100 at the end of the day, come to the PQ gym to make up the shortfall. It's the same like if you were walking and life got busy at work, etc., etc., or you had to stay indoors a lot, so you didn't get it. Then you go for a run or you go for a walk or you do so many jumping jacks, etc., right? You do a gym, a pop-up gym. So this is the same way. You come to one of these videos or one of the audio recordings, make one of your own, or you sit, give yourself 15 minutes and you'll get your 45 or more reps. For me, because I'm quite trained in it, I do believe in 15 minutes, I get about 60 or 70 reps because I'm able to notice if my mind wanders, I have techniques on how to bring it back, and I also have techniques on how to deepen my focus. So thank you for your practice. Now we're going to take a breath and we're going to practice just briefly. Focus on this question. It's the ones we ran through just now. What is one area of your work or life where you could use more sage and less saboteur? Take each area of your life and write down one opportunity. So this is the work, one opportunity. You can do one per day for this week. and to build up your list. One way you can be conscious of doing a PQ rep. So you can choose work. You choose something at work where you go to your computer or you're going to your email. What can you do at the beginning of that, or before you hit send, or before you read something? In energy, so in your workout, eating mindfully, etc., you can take that breath. In love, you can smile more, make eye contact more, to be more present. In learning, when you're studying, can you slow it down? And that would be your PQ rep. To breathe, to notice where you're judging and correct that, or say yes and take your mind to creativity, doodle. So these are some of the ways. You know more than you think you know, and you'll get an idea. So thank you for your practice. All the slide means is that we ask these questions and we do some reps so we're more ready to receive insight. So you get an idea, oh, I could do that in the shower, I could do that there. And then implementation, and then you do it. Again, thank you, and I will see you next time. Let's return to the main screen so I can say my farewells. May you stay well, may you stay safe, may you continue to prosper from your practices.